Welcome to the Lord's Day Ministry. Today I'm going to be talking about miracles, specifically 2 miracles that happened to me. The first one was my hand. The first one that happened to me had to do with my hand, and if you've watched any of my videos, you've probably noticed that I have a tremor in my left hand, which is due to Parkinson's disease. But Parkinson's is a very giving disease, and it gives you lots of different ailments, I would say. But one of the ailments I had was slowness of movement in my left hand. It would take me like literally probably 30 seconds to close my hand. I mean, you just can't, you try to close it and stuff, but you want to close it, but you can't. But at the time I was going to this church that they truly believed in healing, that healing still happened today. Some churches don't, but this one did. And at the end of the service, they would ask anybody who needs healing to come up front. And a lot of the church would come up front and they'd put hands on you and pray over you and whatnot and ask God for healing. But this one day was a little different for some reason. Why, I don't know. But they asked like if anybody needed healing to come to the front, and they started praying over me. This time though, I had the bishop or the pastor on one side and the bishop on the other, and they're putting hands on me and praying. And then this elder came up front and he started praying over me. He put his left hand on my forehead and he had the Bible in his other hand, and he's asking me questions like, do you believe this is the inspired word of God? I was like, yes. Do you believe Jesus can heal you? I'm like, yes, and stuff like that. Then he's asking Jesus, please Jesus heal Brian, and stuff like that and whatnot. And I thought it was just like any other day, that they'd ask you to come up and, get healed. But a couple days later, I didn't check or notice anything right away or whatever. But a couple days later, I was cutting chicken up. And usually I'd put my hand, push the chicken down so it didn't flop around so I could cut it up. But for whatever reason that day, when I went to put my hand down on the chicken, that I closed my hand. I could move it, like I could use it like a normal, like a hand. And, I was like, well, that's crazy. That's a miracle, God healed my hand, because it was like all of a sudden, it wasn't like a little bit, at a time, the doctor had started giving me some medicine by maybe a couple months earlier. And, the doctor thinks that it was the medicine that healed me, and then I was going to this upper cervical chiropractor, which is different than a regular chiropractor, and he thinks it was what he was doing healed me, but, I think it was God that healed me. I mean, it was pretty miraculous. You go from taking 30 seconds to close your hand to being able to use your hand, like a hand. Like my doctor said, he's like, wow, Brian, you have a hand instead of a club now, because he likened my hand into a club, because it wasn't, you need to move your hand to be a hand, but it was more like to a club. But I can see how some people can have doubts on that one, whether it was God or not that healed me, because you can say, well, maybe it was the medicine, maybe it was the upper cervical chiropractor. But the second miracle that happened, I have no doubt. I mean, there can't be any doubt that it was God. The second time I was at work, I was doing drywall. I've worked with my hands for 20 years, well, all my life pretty much, I haven't gone to college or, got a degree or anything like that, so I kind of need my body to work. But God healed my hand and got me back, and this one day at work, I had this like pull, all I can see like a tug, I guess, feeling in the back of my heel, like where my Achilles tendon is. I didn't think much of it, I mean, I've had lots of injuries in life, and, working, I've had lots of injuries, and it wasn't that bad. I didn't think too much of it. So I came home, and I was going to rest the day. I got a border collie, and we used to go for a mile run every day after work. But today I wasn't really feeling it, so I was like, we're not going today. But she wasn't really having any of that, so she kind of won out, because I was sick of her jumping up and jumping around and telling me that, we got to go for a run. So I relented and we went for a run. And I felt it every step. I felt like a little tug, but it wasn't that bad of a pain, so I just kind of bared through it. Got home, sat down on the couch, read the paper, watched some TV, And then after 45 minutes, an hour, I got back up to get something to drink or whatever, and I couldn't walk. You know, I mean, it was like I literally couldn't walk. You know, I mean, I had to hobble. I was hobbling, and it was extreme pain. It went from, you know, being a tug to, well, I did something to it running, you know, and it was extremely painful. And well, that night I pray to God every night, you know, thank Him for stuff, maybe ask Him for something. I asked Him for healing, you know, I asked Him to heal my heel because, you know, I needed it for work or whatnot. And, you know, it'd be nice, I thought, you know, that if I didn't have this pain. And when I was healing, or when I was talking to God and praying, that I felt like this blanket of calmness just folded over me. You know, and I felt it was like God telling me, don't worry about it. So really, I thought, I mean, it was so significant, I thought that it was totally God and that I was going to be healed in the morning. So I went to bed thinking, I'm going to be fine in the morning because God, you know, said, don't worry about it, you know, I'm going to heal you. So the next morning came and, well, I couldn't walk is what happened. And I go to work, you know, I can't walk all day and I'm just toughed out, and I come home from work every day, you know, I'm putting ice on it, taking ibuprofen. I don't take ibuprofen, you know, because you can hurt yourself worse and not feel the pain if you take a bunch of ibuprofen to go to work. But so I was resting as much as I can, and we ended up starting to go to the dog park then, you know, because she wasn't taking any of it, you know, I had to exercise her. So I'm resting, icing it, taking ibuprofen after work, you know, trying to heal it, and week goes by, nothing. You know, I rest for the weekend and still nothing. And the whole next week, nothing. I mean, zero improvement. You know, I'm icing it, taking ibuprofen, zero improvement. I mean, it's zero. So I get to the point I do drywall, and I was building some soffits on this commercial building, and is maybe 3 foot soffit, so I had 3 foot chunks of drywall that I had to finagle up there. And while I was done with the little stuff that I could, I tried to do everything I could, little stuff, you know, but then it came to the point where I had to pick up a 12 foot by 4 foot sheet of 5/8 drywall. That's where I was at. I had to pick up full sheets of drywall now, and I got a leg, you know, my heel, I can barely walk. So I'm like, okay, I was kind of pissed off at God, you know, He told me He's going to heal me or whatnot, and, you know, these people working for it, they pretty much, you know, I mean, you don't have an excuse really. I mean, they need to get things done, and you need to do things, you know. So I was like, well, I'm gonna pick up this full sheet, and I'm gonna put all the weight, you know, because you have to put all the weight on your foot at a time. You can't hop with it, you know, so you gotta walk with it. You put all the weight on my injured foot, and I figured I'm gonna rip my heel, you know. So I'm like, screw it, you know, God, you said you were gonna heal me, you didn't heal me, and well, then I'm gonna rip it. I'll be in the hospital, have to have surgery or whatnot, you know, and that'll be that. So I pick it up. I ended up getting it stood up, and I pick it up to go walk because I was doing stand-ups in a commercial building. And I pick it up. I put all the weight on my left heel, expecting it to rip and tear and be in extreme pain, and you know, have to probably call an ambulance or whatever, you know. But I pick it up and put all the weight on my heel, and I feel no pain. I feel like a pressure, but there's no pain. And I can walk. I can walk with this 12 foot by 4 foot piece of 5/8, which is pretty heavy if you know. But so I get over to where I needed to go, probably 30 foot. I had to pick it up and carry it. And I'm thinking, I'm healed, you know, this is awesome. And then I go walk to go get my screw gun, and I can't walk again. You know, I'm like, what the hell, you know? So I'm like, well, I thought I was healed, but now it's like I can't walk again. So I get that sheet screwed off, whatnot, and I go get another one, and the same thing happens. You know, I mean, it's like walking around with no weight. I can barely walk, but I pick up a full sheet of 5/8 drywall, and I can walk with no pain, like no pain, just a pressure. I feel like a pressure where it's hurt. Which is weird. I don't understand it. But I walk over and put that up, you know, and then slowly after that, every time that I had to pick up something really heavy, I could walk. with no pain, just a pressure. But after that day I took that first step with that full sheet of 5/8. It slowly got better and better. For 2 weeks, there were no improvements. Absolutely zero. It was just extreme pain. You can barely walk for 2 weeks. No improvements at all. Then after I pick up a 12-foot sheet of 5/8 drywall, I can walk without pain, just a pressure. And then after that, it slowly got better. You know, I mean, it took probably 2-3 months for it to get totally healed, but you know, I mean, it's like a miracle. I can't explain it. I mean, I don't think any doctor in the world would be like, oh, you got a tear in your Achilles heel. I don't know. I'd never went to the doctor. It's just, it was extremely painful. It had to have been some kind of tear or rip. But yeah, they're not going to prescribe you, well, yeah, why don't you go pick up 100 some pounds and go walk with it, you know, on your heel that you can barely walk normally with no weight, you know. So I truly believe miracles do happen today, and they can happen for you. It says in the Bible, you know, if you believe, it can happen. Jesus, every time Jesus healed somebody, they would thank him, you know, and he'd be like, no, I didn't heal you. It was your faith that healed you. It was your belief that healed you. So I truly believe, if you have faith, that you can be healed. If it's God's will, he can heal you. It's possible. But I know I was healed. My hand and my heel were healed. But I just figured I'd make a video about it. But if you don't want to believe, don't believe. But miracles do happen still to this day. Thank you for your time.